Hello, students. Welcome to English 8. This is Alan Sumili Bulay, your teacher for today. On this video, we will going to discuss literal and figurative language. At the end of the discussion, students will be able to identify the difference of literal and figurative language and know some examples about literal and figurative language. So here is our presentation outline. We are going to discuss literal and figurative language, and we are going to give some types and examples. To begin with, let us first examine these two pictures. So what have you observed? It's raining cats and dogs. So you would probably meant that it was literally raining cats and dogs. Then that would mean that cats and dogs were falling out of the sky. It would be a frightening and tragic situation. On the other hand, if you say it's raining cats and dogs, you would probably be speaking figuratively using an idiom to say that it is raining very hard. Now we have here a second example. These pictures literally means that the girl is eating. Now, after showing you the examples, can you now state the difference between literal and figurative language? When we say literal language, it is used to mean exactly what is written. Meaning to say, it is defined as the language which says exactly what it means and means what it says. Literal language is also a type of language which we speak most of the time in our daily basis, in a conversation, in a social conversation, dialogues, and many others. Now, there are different ways of talking to people and saying things exist. Some are direct, others are not so direct, and that creates confusion for the ones who are the listeners or readers. In addition, literal language expresses thoughts and ideas in a clear and specific manner. They do not deviate from the accepted meaning. Thus, it is easy to understand literal language. So students, can you guess what is the usage of literal language? Yes, you are right. Literal language is used in documents that contain information. This type of language is often used to deliver information and is used in writing scientific, technical, and legal documents. Also, literal language is used in both spoken and written language. In addition, literal language is often simple, direct, and therefore, the readers find it easy to understand. It does not also include figures of speech, meaning to say it has no comparison, understatement, or overstatement. So a literal language also expresses ideas in a simple and specific manner. Let's proceed to some examples of literal language. So we have here, she is late and the baby cries. So literally, it has no deeper meaning, it just meant what it says. To carry on, let's proceed to figurative language. Figurative language used to mean something other than what is written, so it needs deeper analysis, it needs deeper understanding. So figurative language also uses words or expressions with a meaning that is different from the literal interpretation. So it is more like elaborate than literal language. And this type of writing is commonly used in works of literature. In addition, figurative language is anything that has several terms and makes people guess about the real meaning. It may say something else, but it really means something else. So students, can you guess again what is the usage of figurative language? Alright, thank you for that, students. As you all know, figurative language uses words or expressions with meanings that are different from the literal interpretation. So figurative language is commonly used in literature. The best example of such type of language becomes poetry, where everything that a poet says does not have a direct meaning. So, literally, it comes down to the person who wants to find a meaning. In addition, figurative language can be complex and a bit difficult to understand, so such language becomes the change from their actual definition. And to do that, understanding and having a better meaning becomes apparent. This type becomes used for giving new meaning to the things which have become redundant. Lastly, figurative language expresses ideas in a vague manner. So bear in your mind, class, that figurative language uses figures of speech like simile, metaphor, personification, hyperbole, paradox, and many others to make the language more elaborate and figurative. So now we have here an example of a figurative language that uses simile. So when we say simile, these are explicit comparisons of two things that uses like or as. For example, you are sweet like candy. It is a simile that compares the person's character to the sweetness of candy using like. Second example, a metaphor. It is a comparison that equates two things. For example, your mother is a saint. It is a metaphor that equates the person's mother to a saint. The mother is not literally a saint, but she is kind and gracious, much like a saint. We have here an example of hyperbole. A hyperbole is an old-fashioned exaggeration. Like for example, I just ate 1,000,000 cupcakes. So it is a hyperbole emphasizing that I ate a lot of cupcakes, not literally 1,000,000. So eating 1,000,000 cupcakes is very impossible for a person to do. So let's proceed to personification. So it gives human character and personality to inanimate objects. Like for example, the wind sang a soothing song. So this figuratively refers to the calming sound of the wind. So the wind is not literally singing a song. So those are the examples of figurative language. So to end our discussion, I want you, class, to always remember that a literal language refers to a language that does not use comparison, understatement, or overstatement. So it is a language which says exactly what it means and means what it says. On the other hand, when we say figurative language, it always covers any non-literal use of language. It also helps to convey meaning in a more engaging, interesting, and enriching way using figures of speech. So that would be all. Thank you for listening, class, and do not hesitate to ask any questions.